Hey guys, this is What If Deku Was a Vigilante, Part 1. And yeah, Part 1, Season 1. So, probably gonna make Season 2. But normally I'm probably gonna end this off in 10 parts. So, this story will have a lot of good pacing, good characters, good storytelling, and I'll be paying majority of all my good narration skills, all my good story plotting, and every good element of character development, tragic loss, grieving, and losing of every iconic superhero like Spider-Man, Flash, Batman, Superman, all their hardships and loss will be put into this one What If, and Deku will go through all those. Deku will have a lot of hardship loss, and he will lose a lot of people in his life. And Deku will be losing a lot of people. It's going to be a very dark What If, but it's also going to have a lot of funny clips, a lot of, humor in between all of it. And it's going to be a very good watch. And near the end, I'm going to leave it off with a good little happy ending. But Deku, throughout this whole series, throughout all of his hardships, throughout him becoming a vigilante, throughout him going through this story, this horror I'm going to put him through, he's going to soon, by right in between the parts, he's really going to be at his lowest stage. And Deku is going to be hit and beaten again and again, but Deku will always get back up. Or will he? Let's just start into this What If. What if Deku was a vigilante, part 1. Now, let's start the story off with plot. Now, Deku's life was amazing. Deku had 2 loving parents, and Deku was born into a very good family. Deku's family lived in a nice, lavishing house near Japan, or near My Hero Academia, near Academy for Superheroes, or Heroes. Deku would have been raised with loving care, people loving him not really having any care in the world. Until the day of Deku becoming quirkless. Deku would have been pronounced quirkless as his parents would have still loved him nonetheless. Nothing would have changed between how Inko felt about Deku, but she would start feeling guilty about Deku's life. How she, gave birth to a child that was quirkless, and that he was going through so much hardship at a young age, being discriminated against by his peers and being treated as lesser, being treated as a weak, insignificant Deku. As well, Inko would have felt so much grief for her child, but she would have still been there, working on herself, but also still working on Deku, so she wouldn't be becoming overweight in this story, but a little bit chubby. But yeah, so what would happen is, well, Deku, Izuku, Inko, and Asashi, they would have gone through their normal lives. Deku's still getting bullied as usual at home. Not at home, but him being bullied as usual at school. So everything in his story would have gone exactly the same. All of his interactions with everybody in the world would have gone somewhat the same. But he wouldn't look up to heroes that much. Deku's still looking up to All Might and him being a fanboy over all sorts of heroes. But him growing up with the ideal of the hero society is so broken and so destroyed internally. And the fact that heroes need to get licensed to get paid, and that saving people isn't really even something people or most heroes even want to do. They just in it for the money and for the fame. As Deku sees this from a very young age, by the time he was about 13, he really started feeling it. He really started knowing everything. Started knowing the true lies that hid behind famous heroes that were just shallow inside. Unlike All Might. All Might was actually one of the few heroes in the My Hero Academia universe that were in it for saving lives, for helping people, for changing the world. But other heroes were in it for the fame, money, glory, like Carmel Woods. As Deku knew this, but Deku still wanted to become a hero in some regard. Deku was still looking up to become a hero, but right on the last day of school, when Bakugo confronted Deku about trying for UA, he put him down. He shot him down. And he did the worst thing possible. He shot him down again and again and again, beating Deku to a bloody pulp. Deku being on the ground, bleeding out, and in the story, Bakugo wouldn't stop just having Deku on the ground or against the wall. He would have started to beat him. As Deku's friends, or peers, not really friends, would have watched this, as it wouldn't even be the end of the class. Everybody would still be in the class. The teacher would have left, though. But Bakugo's lackeys being confused on why Bakugo was going so rough on Deku. And Bakugo saying, "You cannot become a hero, Deku. You're quirkless. You're pathetic. You can't become a hero. You're weak." As he would have pushed Bakugo away, as Deku would have gotten up, saying, "I won't be weak anymore. Leave me alone, Bakugo. I'm going to become a hero one way or the other." As Bakugo says, "You're going to get yourself killed." As he would have grabbed Deku by the shoulder, throwing him against the wall, saying, "You can't do anything we can do. You don't have a quirk. You can get hurt. You can die. You will never become a hero. You will never become number one." As he pushed Deku down to the ground, Deku being completely and utterly deflated of hope, courage. Deku feeling like everything was lost. Deku felt like he couldn't go on. As Deku later on in the day, he would have been walking back home, having blood and dried up blood on his uniform, him limping home, it being near midnight, nighttime. As Deku started to walk and walk and walk, him eventually stopping in his tracks that he would have heard screaming in the distance. As Deku would have started to sprint around the corner of the, street, him seeing an alleyway, as he would have seen three men try to attack this woman. As Deku would have jumped in, punching one of the men in the face, being lucky, throwing a weak, uncoordinated, but yet strong punch. As Deku would start to tussle to the second man, as the third man, the first man that was on the woman, would have ran towards Deku, stabbing him in the chest. Deku would have fell down to the ground, him coughing up blood. The man, this little kid, "Why are you trying to do this, kid?" As one of the men would have said, "We gotta go, now. We can't be here. The police are gonna show up. We can't be here. We just killed a kid. We gotta go." As the two men would have began to walk away. But as they were doing that, as they were talking, as time was moving very normal for them, Deku was somewhere completely different. Deku would have opened his eyes, him laying down in a not lavish, but a very big, wide void. Him having and feeling a soft floor, as he would have gotten up, slipping a little bit, and him looking around, seeing nothing but white. As some sort of man, a silhouette of a man, but his whole body, his whole skin, more or less a galactic type of outline. Him looking more like a being, a god of some sort. As Deku would have said, "Who are you?" The man would have told him, "Well, Zuko Midoriya, I'm your, guardian angel." In this world, a little rundown, everybody has an angel or a being assigned to them by birth and is made for them to guide them and make their lives what it is. Sorry, I messed up a little bit, but you get the gist of Zuko Midoriya. I was born and made to push you and make you who you are and make your destiny it. But you're not supposed to die here. You're not supposed to be casted away by your peers, bullied by the wretched Bakugo, Katsuki, and you're not supposed to be stabbed by two thugs that are running away as we speak. You are meant for a greater purpose. You are the one that's going to save the world. You're the one that is going to make a difference, a true difference. Not like All Might. All Might's made a difference. He's become a hero, a symbol of hope. But you will become a symbol of pure and utter love, compassion, hope. People will look up to you when their work is darkest and most effortless hours. You will be a god, a hero to every human living being on the planet. You will become hope itself, the embodiment of hope and power. Deku being shocked, saying, "I'm confused. So, I can't be that. I'm quirkless. I'm just a scrawny little kid from Japan. I can't do that. And plus, if I'm here, I'm already dead. I believe you because honestly, I feel everything around me. The skies, the grass beneath me." As the man would have said, "That's all the illusion, Izuku Midoriya. You're in the afterlife. Every 5 seconds we've been here, the area has changed. First, it was a dome area, a blank space, soft floor. Now we in a forest. I'm telling you this because I need to tell you how your life is going to go. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to go step by step, but I will tell you become a hope. You become better than All Might could ever possibly fathom. You save so many countless people and you become such a great hero. With this power, this gift I will give you, you will return to the living world and you will change the world. Fate will guide you. You just have to listen to your heart, Izuku Midoriya. But do never, and I mean never, go to the hero world. Heroes are corrupt. Majority of them are. And you becoming an official hero isn't your path. You need to become a vigilante. A hero by your own thread. You have to change the world on a bigger scale. A bigger scale the hero society cannot allow you to. So you need to do this by yourself, on your own, with your own gut, your own heart, and your own spirit. You have it in you, Izuku Midoriya. Wake up. As Deku would have woken up, him coughing up blood, but the stab wound being completely gone. As the blood on his body would have started to disappear, evaporate, and go back into his bloodstream, being completely clean. As Deku would have gotten up, limping a little bit, but his limp quickly going away. Deku would have looked at his hands glowing bright green. Deku would have looked up, trying to tell the man to stop, as he would have put his hands up, as time would have froze. Deku being confused on what the hell was going on. Deku would start to stumble, as his skin would have started to become completely and utterly stinging with pain, as his body would have started to feel like it was on fire. As he would have looked at his body, it being glowing completely green, as you can see Deku's skeletal structure and his organs, as his whole muscles, his skin and his flesh and his hair becoming bright, see-through green energy. As Deku would have looked around, his body and slowly his bones and his inner organs becoming this pure green energy as well. As Deku would have ran over to the thuggers or mugs, as he would have grabbed them, as they would have passed out, falling onto the ground. As it would have looked from afar, since Deku stopped time, it just looked like Deku teleported, or more or less just ran really fast towards the men. As Deku would have looked around, as the woman would have looked up at Deku, this woman would have been Izuku Midoriya's love interest. The man Deku was supposed to be is this woman's wife. Husband. I messed up that narration. But this would have been Momo Yaoyorozu, the woman destined for Deku. But Deku yet could not know this. Deku would have ran off, him being confused on what the hell was going on with him. As Deku would have ran to Deku Beach, him falling down a couple stairs as he was running towards Deku Beach, him being completely out of whack. As he would have ran, him eventually walking into like a nearby walkway through the trash. As he would have fell onto the ground, as he would have looked at his hands, as he would have seen a vision, as the man would have told him that his powers are completely safe, to him at least. But he has a bigger purpose. His powers are godlike, but he can't unlock them just yet. All of the power he can't have just yet. But it will be his one day. He tells Deku, you need to train, you need to become your best. You need to become a hero. As Deku wakes up hours later and it's nighttime, the next day. Deku's been out for the whole day and it's the next night. Deku waking up as he would have limped off, him walking around. As Deku would have started to train a little bit. As Deku didn't feel hungry at all. As Deku started to train and started to train with his powers. As he first would have tried to recreate the whole thing he did at first. As he would have opened his hands out, him feeling something, a flick or anything. As his hands would start to glow green, but not the rest of his body. As Deku would have put his hands out, as he would have tried to freeze something. As he would have grabbed the cup or a can, thrown it in the sky in freezing time. As he would have looked around, as he would have tried to figure out how he could unfreeze it. Deku doing different hand gestures and everything like that. Him eventually realizing that to stop time, all he had to do was snap his fingers. As the can fell onto the ground, as Deku grabbed it before it hit the ground. And Deku's first ability was time stopping, or stopping time. Now, I'm not going to give you the full data of every power Deku will have. I'm not going to make Deku super OP. He's still going to have hardships, a lot of troubles in his life. He's not going to be super OP. But his powers mainly derive with time and energy-based powers. So his powers are mainly based off time and energy manipulation, stuff like that. Maybe in some cases in the future, time travel. As we would have seen, Deku would have started to train with his powers a lot more, as he would have figured out he could stop time for about 5-ish minutes straight without feeling a strain of his body before the time manipulation of the time stopping started to slow down to a point where it was more in slow motion than time completely stopping in a still point. As Deku started to train, him building up some combat skills, going to karate classes, and also learning about jitsu and fighting styles. Eventually, he could have boosted up his time and his time-stopping powers to eventually, limitless potential, as he would have figured out that he could stop time a lot longer if he would have kept a bigger strain and a bigger focus on stopping a specific item in time, as he could do that. Deku also being able to speed up time by a second, so if Deku was going to get shot or if time was moving a little bit too slow for him, he could speed up time by a second or by a minute if he keeps on training. Deku could also slow down time instead of stopping it, but he could slow down time for probably forever. But it takes Deku a long time for him to activate this slowing down power. Deku has to focus on a specific person, not a thing or an object, a specific person, and then stop it or slow it down. So he can slow down a specific person, but it takes a lot more of a bigger scale for him to slow down the entire world or area he's in. But yet again, Deku can, on a world global scale, Deku can stop time or basically slow it down. And Deku does have a time, or not time limit, but he does have a power boost. He can't constantly spam the whole stopping time power 15 times in a row. He can do it about 4 times in a row before it starts to literally break apart his body internally. And by the second time, it starts to really put a toll on his muscle structure. And then by the third and fourth time, it really starts to literally destroy him from the inside out. And he can slow down time for a lot longer and spam that ability a lot longer and a lot more and a lot faster. But it does slow down Deku's speed in real time. So Deku, uses that. After it wears off in real time, Deku will become slower and more lethargic and a lot more, just limping around everywhere, because his body would be moving by a second slower than it originally would be moving. So it would become lethargic and tired if he overuses his slow down power. Other than that, that's the only powers Deku have. He can slow down time, speed it up, and stop it. And that's all he can do. Deku also has the short little ability he's been working on. He can shoot a blast of green energy out of his left hand, but he can only travel about 6 feet. And it has a punch it packs a punch of about a football traveling at 20 miles per hour. And it can hurt or it can kill somebody if he hits it close enough to somebody's face. But it can hurt somebody pretty fast. Or it can kill somebody if it's pointed or directed at the good amount of speed. Because if anything at 20 miles per hour is moving at that fast, it could kill somebody for real though. But yeah. But nonetheless, Deku would have been trained on these abilities and also trained in his physical combat skill, as Deku knew about karate, jitsu, and a little bit of boxing, but him still being a rookie in fighting in general, as Deku would have donned his first hero costume, or his vigilante suit. His vigilante suit would have been comprised of a lot of different materials, but it mainly being focused for stealth practications, and also being more about durability and flexibility. As Deku started his first ever night out on the city, it being the beginning of the end of the 10-month art training, as it would have been about the first time Deku would have gone night. This would be the month right before the entry exams. As Deku would have jumped down from a building, as he would have slowed down time, him grabbing on different objects and stuff like that, and basically falling out of the ground, as he would have started to, well, go around the city, as he would have started to walk around, basically waiting for some sort of crime to go off, as he was listening to a crime radio, as he was able to tweak in to a line of the police. As Deku was very smart, and he has a lot of gadgets I didn't mention earlier, but majority of his gadgets are like weak, so they don't really do anything. So they majority of the situations Deku's going to be in, those items are going to be very useless. As Deku starts to walk around the city, as he hears a commotion, as Deku runs off, as he runs down the stairs, because he's in the subway area, as he runs down the stairs, running, eventually coming on the other side of the subway, as he would have seen a car chase. As Deku would have seen car chase, as he would have started to run after them. Him eventually running, taking a shortcut, slowing down time, and running down the street, literally just sprinting down the street in slow down time, as it would have looked like Deku had super speed from afar. As Deku started to run, just sprinting, literally losing out of breath, as he would eventually come on the other side of the street, where his power of slowdown would have ran out. Deku running over, or not being ran over, but basically getting ran over. I'm going to be simple. Deku would have almost getting ran over, as Deku would have pushed out a last-ditch effort, as he would have used his power and would have shot himself up, propelling himself forward with his energy blast from his left hand, him pushing himself forward through the car front window, crashing into the man that stole the car, and basically knocking him out, as the car would have been stopped, getting hit against a concrete pillar. The last second, Deku would have slowed down time, jumping out of the car by a second, since his time slowing down ability was getting very slower throughout the pulses he was using. So to put it simple, he almost had like a second or like 5 seconds of slowdown time before it hit the concrete pillar. Deku jumping out of the vehicle before that point. Deku would have gotten up, scratching off the dirt off of his suit, as he looked around as the police would have slowly showed up. As Aizawa would have watched Deku from afar, as he would have seen Deku run off. Aizawa would have followed Deku from rooftop to rooftop, Deku noticing someone was following him, as he would have looked up, seeing a shadow on the rooftops. As Deku would have started to pick up the pace a little bit more, as Aizawa would have noticed he, well, sought him out, as he saw him, and they made eye contact from afar. As Aizawa would have jumped down the building, him following Deku on foot, trying to stop him with his scarf, as Deku would have started to dodge his attacks, slowing down time just a little bit, fast enough for him to dodge, as it really helped him in that slowing down quirk. Slowing down power, as Deku would have started to run, running, literally sprinting his booty cheeks off. I mean, running, as Deku would eventually take a sharp turn, basically in the best of Aizawa, as Aizawa would have fell into traffic, as he would have been running after Deku on foot. But before he fell into traffic, he would have used his scarf to propel himself or swing himself on the back on the sidewalk, as he would have ran right after Deku. As Deku would have started to run, him being out of juice, him not being able to use his quirk anymore, or not his quirk, but use his power anymore for a couple more minutes. So he couldn't slow down time, couldn't stop time, and couldn't speed up time. So Deku was out of juice, and he couldn't really use his but his energy power anymore correctly, unless he was going to straight up blast Aizawa upside the forehead. As Deku started to sprint, him having to rely on his main, base physical power and also his fighting skill. And he knew for a fact he couldn't take on Aizawa in a 1v1. As Deku would have started to run, sprinting his booty cheeks off. I mean, dead as he was running. Usain Bolt looking at us. As Aizawa would have been kind of confused. And I kind of impressed that this kid was running this fast. As Deku did a lot of endurance training, doing this 10-month arc training, putting a lot more focus into running, speed, agility, and strength, since he moved normally when he stopped down, or when he stopped or sped up time. As Aizawa would have been accompanied by the police, as they would have noticed he was following a vigilante. As in this world, vigilantes were like big no-no in Hero Society. Now they would have started to chase Deku, as Deku would have started to run around, as he would have jumped over police cars, police hitting him, kicking him with his car, as Deku would have been almost run over by a police car, him getting hit by a car, getting propelled through a freaking wall, as Deku would have broken a few freaking bones. Deku yelling out in pain. Aizawa would have walked through the whole Deku pain when he was pretty much ran and pushed through the wall. As Aizawa would have told him that it was okay, and that just to turn yourself in, that you didn't do too much, but still, you can't be running around with the hero costume thinking you're a hero when you're a vigilante kid, as he would have known Deku was a kid by his age, not his age, but his composure, his walking, and basically everything that he gave off was childish, rookie type stuff, as Deku was very skittish when he was staying near the crash site. Deku would have gotten up, as he would have tried to, stay out of stay out of Izawa's line of sight. As he would have looked up Izawa, as he would have realized that his power was back, feeling a sensation of power throughout his body. As he would have stopped time with all if he got or all that he had in his tank, as Deku would have sprinted around, trying to get away from Izawa and the police as fast as possible. As Deku would eventually find himself at home, as he would have ripped off his hero costume, thrown it underneath his bed, as he would have been covered in blood, bruised marks, and everything like that. As his mom would have walked in his room, seeing Deku beaten up, she would have said, "What's going on?" As she would have told Deku, "What happened to you?" Or asked Deku, "What happened to you? What's going on? Why are you home late at night? Why do you look like this? What happened?" As, well, Deku just says, "Just kids from school, Mom. It's nothing too serious." She would have said, "Kids from your school." Oh, this is, no, I'm gonna handle this. Stay here, Zuko. I'm gonna get some medicine, something. I'll be right back, okay? As she walked out of the room. As Deku is just very much thrown off by this, as I don't think, or he thinks, he can't become a hero. He can't become a vigilante if every villain, and not every hero is on his back. Is literally constantly gunning for him. His first night out, he got chased by the police. He almost died in a car crash. And Izawa, one of the heroes, almost tried to murder him, as literally Izawa cornered him into a car chase with cars, police cars, as one of the police cars hit him through a freaking wall. As Deku was powering through the whole, pretty much him getting broken in the arm, as Deku pretty much lines up his bones in his arms, as he uses or gets creative, trying to use his sped up power as he speeds up time in his arm, healing it. As Deku is surprised that he actually could do this, as he thinks about this on the fly, not really thinking about this capability with his sped up version of his power to speed up injuries on his body. As Deku tries to figure out how long can he speed up an object, so he takes an apple and tries to speed it up as much as possible, speeding it up by a couple months. So Deku's arm is healed in a couple months. As he heals it up, or he speeds up time on the apple, making it rotten. So Deku, pretty impressed, as he tries to speed up other objects through time, speeding up milk, spoiling milk, and basically Izawa on the other side of the city the next couple days, the next couple months, as he's kind of confused on who this new vigilante is, and how did he just get away out of his line of sight, and how could he use his quirk right when he was using his power on him. But I'm gonna leave it up here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. Part 2 will be more of Deku getting his roots, getting the hang of vigilantism, and also basically I'm going to have a bigger, more wide scale little script for Deku's Deku's next night on the town. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.